Can the artist's way really take me from burnt out author to bold creative in just 12 weeks? Join me week by week as I navigate my way out of the creative void. But first... Hi, I'm Erica, and you probably have never heard of me because I am not a famous author yet. So last month, after 10 years of trying to become a children's author, I decided to throw in the towel for good. And after crying and feeling miserable about it, with no project, no success to show for, and no creative endeavor that I'm trying to achieve, I felt like I was completely in the void. This is why for the next 12 weeks, I'm committing to do The Artist's Way by Doechii. I have heard so many people 100% swear by it. And recently I saw TikTok talking or attributing Doechii's success to this book. So if it worked for Doechii, could it actually work for me? Could this actually be the thing that releases my inner artist? Will this program make me bold, authentic, and most importantly, will it make me pop off? So to let you in a little bit, back in 2014, I wrote and illustrated a children's book for my daughter. Creating those characters and drawing that story reconnected me to something that I hadn't felt in years, which is my inner child. Back in 2014, I've always worked in corporate. So another part of me thought that maybe my story wasn't good enough to be released into the world. Maybe it's not good enough to be sent to a publisher. Now, because I didn't feel like I was really an author, I made an important decision. I would promote my books as bilingual books for kids. If families raising their kids in English and Spanish, just like mine, could actually see and buy my book, maybe it would take off, and then maybe the monolingual version will pick up. Authors will understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes you feel your work is really crap and you don't want anyone to see it. And sometimes your ego is super high and you're like, I'm gonna show it to the world. And in one of those egos high, I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna put this into the world. How hard can it be to sell $1 million worth of book sales, right? Maybe this character is going to become super popular and people are going to want to license it and put it in t-shirts and lunchboxes. So I published a book and I was really upset. I sold 20 books in about 3 months. And I frantically started Googling how to sell my self-published book. Why is my book not selling? And a million variations like that. And that landed me into this whole world of self-publishing. Well, it turns out you have to do a ton of marketing. It turns out you have to build your email list. It turns out you have to advertise your book in Amazon. And all these things kind of became really new. And the industry has continued to evolve at a pace where honestly, I am not even paying attention anymore. And sometimes I would do these things and they would work until they didn't. And I was back to square one. Sometimes I'd get super excited because, oh my God, look at what I made. Oh my God, this is so cute. But then sometimes I would be so deflated when my work didn't get the attention I thought it should. I was so worried about being criticized that I forgot to worry or to fear something that is even worse. And that is being invisible. Anyway, after that, fast forward a few years, 6 books later, 4 in the Millie Book series, I actually learned animation because in my mind, and Julia Cameron says this in this book exactly, sometimes you have a vision and that's what you have to, that's what you need to pursue. So I animated my books into cartoons for kids. YouTube took me on this roller coaster of my highest watch video has something like 46,000 views, something like that at the time of recording. My lowest one probably has 3. Like, it's such a big difference. And the last time, the last book is Million the Lost Colors. Anyway, I love that story so much. And I kid you not, I made all this effort to create this beautiful, or so I think it is, animation. Animation is one of those things that takes so long. And even though I was using tools like Adobe Animate, which is fantastic, but it's got such a big, learning curve. I created my puppets and I created the voices and I put together this amazing, for a thing, like, honestly, to the best of my ability, right? Like, maybe somebody will see it and a real animator would be like, oh, that's rubbish, because I'm learning, right? And my last animation, the one I thought was gonna be the jewel of the crown, everyone is gonna love it. The one I took like months to finish only got 200 views in its first day. I said, I'm done. I'm throwing the towel. It's time to quit. Nobody cares about this other than my friends and family. It didn't work, and I have to accept it. I have to accept that people don't like, it's not like people don't like Millie. I have to accept it that I'm not going to be the person who is going to create this cartoon, the next Bluey or whatever it is. I cried for an entire week because I was so tired. I remember the next day going to work feeling, like my heart was literally crying. Like, I always try to go and smile to the office, but I was just feeling drained, completely drained. I was also burned out of life, responsibilities like motherhood, having a full-time job, adulting, like laundry, bills, all those things were weighing really heavy on me because I had this other thing that was taking so much attention. And the truth was, I have nothing to show for in terms of success. And yes, I've learned a lot and all that is great. But if I go back to the core of why I started this, I wanted to create these books so I could get passive income. And there was nothing passive about that. It is a lot of work. And also, there was no income. So I said, I'm just gonna quit. But knowing me, I just felt really strange not having a pursuit, not having a creative project. And I think this is why this is the best opportunity for me to do the artist way, because I don't have anything else that is trying to take my attention in my brain. And I think I want to take this time to nurture my soul, to nurture that creative artist, and also to peel the layers, the onion layers. I genuinely believe that I'm self-censoring. I genuinely believe that this is why probably things haven't worked. Oh, the book is here. Now we got a package, so let's open it. Okay, so back to the topic at hand and about this book. So in the introduction, the first couple of chapters break down how the program works, and introduce what I like to call the 10 commandments of creativity. Julia Cameron actually calls it the basic principles. And I think throughout the book, she tells you, like, you can actually have a look at the tasks and the things ahead just so you know the lay of the land. And she invites us to revisit the principles and actually be in touch with our feelings to know how we feel about them. Do we believe them? Are we skeptical? Are we thinking that maybe, oh, this is rubbish, whatever? So yeah, she also sets expectations about what we're gonna feel. So we're gonna feel anger, joy, hope, fear, all of it. But all of this is in service of the one thing that is super important, which is creative freedom. Because without that freedom, how are we gonna create whatever we wanna create? There are two basic tools that are non-negotiable, and if you watch videos on the artist way, you probably know what they are, but in case you haven't, I'll let you know. So the first one is the morning pages. So every single morning, even if you're tired, cranky, even if you didn't sleep well, the first thing you need to do when you wake up is write 3 full pages, longhand, not typing on your phone, type like writing, like you used to write in school. And basically, just do the download from your brain, the stream of consciousness, to put it on the paper. Is basically a brain dump. And whatever it's in your head, just write it out. She also gives examples like if you don't know what to write, you can fill the page saying, I don't know what to write. That's totally fine. But I think what she wants you to do here is that exercise. And to be honest, maybe this is why I got good grades in school, because I used to write everything. And I didn't really need to study because I was writing, and there's something about the connecting, the learning, it gets through you and out the page. There's some magic happening there. It's kind of like getting out the gunk, flushing the pipes, making sure it's all neat so that you can actually open yourself up for that creativity. I love how Julia gives examples of even corporate people who are not even artists who swear by the morning pages. And I'm really excited to try it. However, to be honest, I'm not a morning person, so I don't know how that's gonna go. The second tool is the artist date. And this is really exciting because once a week, you take your inner child, and it's a commitment between yourself with yourself on a solo adventures. This is gonna help you refill your creative well. And the artist date needs to be a date that is, you have to commit a couple of hours a week. And, take yourself somewhere where it's playful. Julia really invites us in the book to actually listen to our gut. And maybe if you take yourself to the museum and you're like, oh, this is too serious and too boring, to listen to that and maybe even go to the kids section. As an only child, I am very comfortable with being on my own. But to be honest, I never do these kinds of activities by myself. I always either take the kids, sometimes I go with my friends, my best friends who are also into art or fashion and things like that. So it's gonna be interesting, but I'm very excited. You have to sign a contract before you start the process. She kindly lets us vary it and change it. So for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm divorced, so my ex has the kids 50% of the time, I have the kids 50% of the time. And I think on the weeks when I'm with my kids, I'm like 100% mom. I'm mom, worker, cook, things like that. And then on the weeks that I'm by myself, which, I still go to work 40 hours a week, but on the weeks that I'm by myself, that's when I'm going to do it. So for me, whatever is happening in one week, in real life, it's going to be fortnightly. But for the purposes of YouTube, I'll just post the video once a week. But the thing that I'm going to keep is the little tweak that I'm going to make is I'm going to commit to the morning pages, which means waking up half an hour earlier. And the artist dates, I'm gonna take my kids to artist dates, even though they don't know they're going to artist dates. And it could be something like playing tennis, right? Or something that the three of us liked. I think they're at that age where it's so much easier to do it. Like, honestly, if my kids were toddlers, I wouldn't even attempt this. I probably wouldn't even know about this book because I think it gets you when it's meant to get you. So if you're watching, take this as a sign.
Okay, so I just thought of something that I forgot to mention. Julia Cameron really likes to talk about God and about, how this divine inspiration comes to you. If you had asked me in 2021 whether I believe that, I would have said no. But I feel like after a few years of kind of going back into spirituality, I find myself believing in God again. But from a creative perspective, if this is not something that you've experienced, you can call it something different, universe, divine inspiration, divine spark, whatever that is. And also, I don't know, it's something that I felt a couple of years ago when I wrote a story called Olivia and the Littering Crowd. I kid you not, once I finished that first draft, I genuinely felt like I did not write that. It did come from somewhere else. And I think that was the first time that I felt that divine inspiration, as you call it. So yeah, keep an open mind, I guess. When it comes to that perspective, I know that if you grew up Catholic Christian in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there's probably a bit of baggage and a little bit of resentment or trauma that may be there. So yeah, keep an open mind that maybe this is going to be what gets you connected to that spiritual connection as opposed to a prescribed religion that is man-made.
Anyway, you can call it God, you can call it intuition, you can call it the universe, the creative flow, whatever helps you. Just don't let that ruin your experience for participating in this book. Okay, so tell me in the comments, what name, if any, do you give to this creative spark? Hey, maybe that could be the name that flows through you. And how do you know when you were in the zone? Because whatever you call it, this is what we're tapping in here. So if this resonates with you, I have left a link in the caption of this video, in the description of this video. It's an affiliate link. This means that I get a small commission at no extra cost to you. You don't have to make a video, but if you want to do it, let's do the artist way together, week by week. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see what happens next. Because next week, we're gonna dive full on into the program, and on week 1, we are gonna be recovering our sense of safety. See you then.